Welcome to Talk with the Nation, presented by the Premier, the Honorable McKeeva Bush. Join the Premier and other special guests as we look at all things Cayman, both present and future. This is Talk with the Nation. Here is Donna Bush.
Good evening, Cayman, and glad you're able to tune into another Talk with the Nation show here on Vibe 98.9. A reminder, first out, this is a live call-in show, so you can give us a call at 946-9898 on your drive home if you have a hands-free device, that is, or you can call us when you're off the road and safe. And speaking of the road, this evening we'll be talking about your ability to now renew your vehicles and driver's licenses online. This is big news, Cayman, and here at the Vibe Studios to tell us all about it are the new e-government service, our MLA Ellio Solomon, the Georgetown representative who was able to push for and get the support of his colleagues to make this all happen, as well our Deputy Director of the Department of Vehicles and Driver's Licensing, Mr. Richard Sims, and Mr. Gilbert McGaughlin, Director of Govt Computer Services. Gentlemen, thanks for being here with us in the Vibe Studios this evening. Let's begin by explaining to our listening public, Mr. Solomon, more about the new government service that is just launched on Friday, right?
Yeah, pretty much as of Friday, we launched a new system. And Donna, again, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And of course, you did an excellent introduction of Mr. Sims from the Vehicle Licensing Department, and again from Mr. Gilbert McGaughlin, who is the Director of Computer Services. I think, first of all, Donna, I'm very excited about it. I hope that you and other members of the listening audience will also share that excitement and enthusiasm. But I believe that this whole e-government initiative is something, it's the future. It's where we need to actually be heading, because without a doubt, we continue to hear in the press about government and in terms of trying to get the processes right. Many of us have sat around on the water cooler, to use that term, and complained about some of the different processes. Why is it taking so long for me to do this? And we can all sit on the outside and see those complaints. And the question is, what steps do we take to try to resolve them and bring about some solutions? And that comes in two folds as far as I'm concerned. That is one, looking at the processes that we actually have and seeing how we can re-engineer those processes. How can we tweak those processes to take out some of the things that we're doing that we shouldn't be doing, adding the things perhaps that we should be, and at the same time introducing technology to help make those processes even more streamlined. And so that's where e-government actually comes about. There was the e-business advisory board that had been formed pretty much when the United Democratic Party was in office between 2001 and 2005. We were responsible at that time for liberalizing telecommunications. So many of us right now who are walking around with our BlackBerries or iPhones on our hips and having some really nice conversations, whether it's BBM, WhatsApp applications or otherwise, I think can accredit that to some of the work that's actually done in order to liberalize telecommunications. It was also a push to try to see if we can get further things happening in the private sector, but the question is, where do we start? And the position of this government, we went ahead, we formed what is now known as the e-Government Advisory Board, because we believe strongly that if we want to actually get reform, whether it's private sector or public sector, we have to start where we have that sphere of influence. And that sphere of influence is government. Let us get our own house in order, and then we can start pointing fingers at other persons, as well as we can encourage other people through our own actions. So we formed the e-Government Advisory Board, and the makeup of the e-Government Advisory Board, I want to mention that as well, I think is significant, because you have the administrative arm of the government, which would have comprised of Mr. Franz Manderson, who is now the Deputy Governor, and he's now been replaced by Mr. Eric Bush, because he's obviously moved on to a higher position, much more responsibilities. He's been replaced by Mr. Eric Bush, who's the Chief Officer of Internal and External Affairs, and we also have Mr. Oriot Connor, who is the Cabinet Secretary. So therein you have the administrative arm, and then you have myself as the sort of the representative on the political directorate side. We also have Ms. Suzette Ebanks, who is now the Director of Government Information Services. So you can see administrative, political, and you also have that good marketing arm with Suzette there as well. And we wanted to engage in a series of different projects that would actually bring about some efficiencies and effectiveness of service, and at the same time lowering costs. I'll just give you one as a snapshot. That's not what we're here to talk about today, but just to give you a simplistic example. There was a CCTV link that was actually installed just recently for about $70,000, not a lot of money. We put that CCTV link between the prisons and the courts. And that was actually because on a regular basis, up to 1,200 prisoners are transported from the prison to the courts for remand, and then back to the prison. So one, when you look at all of that, the implications are you have serious security risks. You could have a breach, someone could escape. That could cause problems, as well as the direct cost that you're having to deal with, mobilizing the security at the prison, mobilizing police, the vehicles, the insurance, the gas. All of these costs are somewhere in the region of about $1.2 million they estimate every year. So for $70,000, we were now able to install the cameras where the prisoners, rather than having to leave the prison, can go into a small room. They can converse with the courts electronically. They can be seen. They can turn around. They can see the front, the back, everything. They can also have consultation with their lawyers in another room privately, so none of those human rights issues are breached. And all that pretty much for $70,000 upfront costs, just a small bit of electricity, and you're saving the country $1.2 million, not to mention the lowering the risk perhaps to persons out there in the public, in the private sector.
Wow. Or
the general public. So give that as just sort of a head start. On the one that we've actually entered into now, we've pretty much expended about $244,000. And again, in the grand scheme of things, with the amount of money that government sort of goes through, that's a very, very small amount of money. So for a drop in the bucket of $244,000, we were able to get the Computer Services Department working along with a company called Infosys, who was actually awarded the contract. And I'd like to stress that the next lowest bidder was somewhere in the region of $650,000. So a significant difference. Right. It was a clear choice in terms of who should actually win the bid. Infosys worked along with Computer Services in terms of us actually putting together what I think is an exciting project that we want to chat a little bit about today.
Right.
And I don't know if you have any questions. I definitely want, when we get into some of the technical details, naturally on the computer side, we have Mr. Gilbert McGaughlin who can answer some of those, and definitely from the client side, because in this case VL is the client, you can feel free to ask him questions as well.
Right. Well, apart from the prison's monitoring system that's now in place, DVDL is on a much larger scale. Why the decision to go with DVDL as a beginning?
Sure, and a couple of reasons. One, we had put together some review teams that gave us feedback in terms of several different departments. And there are sort of those front office departments, if you like. So you look at customs. Customs is a front office department in the sense that the average person has to deal with them quite regularly on a day-to-day basis. Right. Immigration, also a front-end customer. One of those big front-end customers, definitely, it's a vehicle licensing. The specifics of which can be offered to you. We have approximately 44,000 cars that are actually registered with the Department of Vehicle Licensing. There are thousands of persons, naturally, who drive those cars. They're also having to interact and interface with the Department of Vehicle Licensing on a regular basis. So because, one, it was such a front-end department, we felt that we wanted to try to take some action there. The review team went in, looked at Department of Vehicle License, said, how can we re-engineer processes, how can we implement technology? And what we've actually done now is work towards the implementation of those specific recommendations. One of the things that you'll see identified in this particular project is what we refer to as the e-services identification. That is very, very revolutionary, because at the end of the day, one of the challenges that you have in government is that as we work towards what I refer to as the universality of the services, I want to make sure that Donna Mae Bush can be Donna Mae Bush in every single department, so that one day Donna can actually walk in, and if she happens to have been at the hospital and she was sick while she's actually paying her hospital bill, if she wanted, she could pay her garbage bill, she could pay her garbage bill, she could pay customs, and she could pay immigration. The only way that's going to happen, and that's if all the systems are talking with each other, working together, and all recognizing Donna Mae Bush as Donna Mae Bush in all departments. Okay. In order to do that, that's where the e-services identification comes in, because it is a matter of assigning Donna, as it relates to government, with a unique identification number that makes her the same persons in all the different departments. And so we wanted to get a department that already had some of those identification things going on. Sure. And vehicle licensing, with 44,000 vehicles and thousands of drivers, actually already had a driver's license where you were seeking to identify people. And we just pretty much wanted to sort of piggyback on that system. So we have things such as the e-services ID. There's additional processes that we've put in place in terms of inspecting vehicles, and there's also direct changes that we've made to vehicle licensing to make it that no matter where you are in the Cayman Islands or around the world, talking about renewing your driver's license or getting your car inspected and getting that renewed is a completely different process. Okay. Cutting down paper, improving efficiency.
So at the end of the day, it made sense to start with DVDL.
Absolutely.
Mr. Sims, if you would just let our listeners out there know what some of the benefits are going to be to your customers.
Absolutely, Donna. Again, want to thank you for having invited us again today.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, we're very much appreciative. And, you know, also we're very much appreciative to Mr. Solomon and his team. I could remember the day when they came into our office, the review team, and they wanted to speak to us about this online services that they're looking to offer to the general public. Mm-hmm. And immediately I was excited about it because, you know, this is something that we've always wanted to do. Okay. You know, and being looked at as the favorite pilot. You know, we said, look, let's go, you know. So we've been excited from the forefront because there's so many things immediately. Once people are up and registered and using the online services, we can immediately see less lines in our offices. There'll be people that you don't have to wait. I mean, you think about DVDL being open to you 24 hours a day. Wow. You know, you can stay at home at your own leisure and renew your driver's license and renew your vehicle license without having to set a foot in our office. So that in itself is a milestone, you know, and it says a lot about customer service because we always try to listen to our customers and find out ways in which we can enhance our services. Right. And when the review team came in and we, you know, were like, oh yeah, let's do it. You know, this is going to definitely make our services top class. Okay. You know, and we have already seen the benefits of that. There are people already signed up and are using the program. Quite a few licenses has been renewed and vehicles has been renewed already. Right. And having just launched a program just Friday, last Friday. So we have already reaping the benefits from it.
Okay. Any idea at this point how many people have actually at least checked or inquired online, or is it a little bit too early to tell?
Well, it's a little early to tell because we're still going through the registration process. Okay. You know, we have one of our staff members even today trying to get all the government staff up and registered. Right. So we've been going through that process as of Monday. So okay. It's, you know, we have quite a few civil servants already signed up to the program. Right. and a few people coming in, but the exact numbers I can't give you just yet because we're still, you know, in the introduction process. But, you know, the feedback, I've gotten a few emails, matter of fact, even this morning, okay. You know, from one of the users, you know, like, wow, this is, you know, I can't believe I'm actually being able to do this at this time, you know. Like they were at work, matter of fact, and saying, well, I'm even not at work and getting my thing done, you know. Yeah. And it only takes 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sure your staff will love it too because if they have to go back to the manual way of doing a lot of these things, it becomes a bit tedious at that time. Mr. McGaughlin, your department has obviously been very much involved in this from the inception and has helped to expedite this whole project. Tell us a little bit about the role that your unit has played.
Good afternoon, Donna. Yes, our role in this basically with project management for the project with the vendor to ensure that we get a good product for what we want to get done, takes in consideration the functional requirements of the vehicle licensing department. And in addition to that, we also added an interface with computer services, which is something I'm really excited about the fact for the garages. Mm-hmm. So what it basically allows the garages to do is to go online, to enter the information on inspecting a vehicle, put in the information about your insurance company. So those two pieces of paper that were running all over the place for people carrying them back and forth, you need to bring them in to show them your insurance paper, but the garages put in the information. It's automatically sent back to the vehicle licensing department, and then they can basically go on and send your coupon out to you, or if you have a current picture, you can go and get your driver's license sent out to you in the mail. So that's something I'm really excited about, is to reduce the number of pieces of paper running around, helps make the government become more efficient, and helps you get a better service more quickly.
Now, Mr. Solomon, I know Talk with the Nation is just one avenue or one forum to get the word out there to the public and to educate the public, but what's the other part of the campaign like?
Well, we definitely intend to go on the other talk shows. Number one, I mean, we've been on Rooster a little bit. We also want to come here and chat as well. On Radio Cayman. We also intend to perhaps make some television appearances, and we also want to have some different, sort of public meetings, where persons can come to the town halls and they can actually sit there, get a chance to actually log on, see how easy it is to get onto this new system, as well as interface with us, ask us any additional questions as it relates to this software, this particular project, or anything other sort of supplementary questions that they may actually have. And Don, if I could just take it up, because I think that the program is naturally taking a good step in the right direction, where we're actually chatting now about this inspection system.
Right.
And I'd like to stress again, because there's several different parts to this particular project, and on the issue of inspections, that was something, again, that was done completely in-house by Mr. Gilbert McGaughlin and his team. Okay. So, when you hear computer services, they're sort of what I keep referring to as unsung heroes right now in government, because they are doing a tremendous amount of work. It's kind of like, as I said before, that heart is just pumping away in your system, but at the end of the day, nobody really pays attention to that on a daily basis. But they're doing all the interconnections, making sure the government works properly, and I want to commend them for that tremendous job. On this issue of inspections, if we can put everyone who's listening to us in the driver's seat, the sort of standards procedure would have been, you got in your car, you knew your license was about to expire very soon, so it meant you had to drive to vehicle licensing, either when they used to be at Central Police Station or the new location now at Grand Harbor.
Right.
And you went there, you got in your long traffic line, pulled up on the ramp, someone's, telling you to sway your wheels and turn on your traffic lights, you get inspected, only to perhaps have someone say to you, sorry, you failed in 2 different areas, the indicators aren't working, or, this particular thing needs to be replaced. That meant you got in your car, you drove off, you tried to find yourself a garage where you could get it fixed. You got it fixed, hopefully it was fixed, join the long traffic line again, and then see if you could get it re-inspected and hope that you pass. What we've actually done right now with the system that was developed by Mr. Gilbert McGaughlin and his team is immediately made it that now you have 12 different garages other than vehicle licensing, where one, you can go get your car inspected. If there's something wrong, the garage fixes it right there and then. Right. And as Mr. Gilbert McGaughlin has quite eloquently articulated, is the fact that you're now able in a position where they convey the information between vehicle licensing and that garage completely electronically. Right. No need to carry all your paperwork, etc. Means that by the time you leave there, they're already telling you license plate so-and-so is inspected, it's insured, it's all good to go.
Wow.
So if you think about that, you've cut out a lot of processes. That means you're saving time for the individual, you're saving time for employee who's probably wondering where in the world so-and-so is they're slacking for half an hour. Right. And then that also means that you're saving overall for vehicle licensing, and for government you're saving money, which is important, because if government saves money, that's less money I have to tax you. Right. In addition to that, the whole country benefits, because rather than you spending time in lines, you're actually at work, performing work, carrying up the GDP and making the Cayman Islands that much more productive. So very, very exciting stuff.
All right, and this is a great time, I think, to take a break here on Talk with the Nation. We'll be back with more in just a few minutes.
Presented by the Premier, the Honorable McKeeva Bush.
And welcome back to Talk with the Nation. Again, this is a live call-in show. Do give us a call at 946-9898. With us in the studio are MLA Mr. Ellio Solomon from the District of Georgetown, as well as Deputy Director of DVDL, that's the Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licensing, Mr. Richard Sims, and the Director of Government's Computer Services, Mr. Gilbert McGaughlin. I'm so sorry for calling you Mr. McLean. Gentlemen, again, thanks for being here in the studio with us. We are talking about government's e-government services that are now available through the Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licenses. When we left, we talked a little bit about, a few minutes ago, we were just talking a little bit about how customers will benefit and so forth from this service. Now we want to talk about how the process is going to work, because I'm sure our listeners out there want to know, well, what do I have to do to really get involved in this? Because it's an amazing tool for people to be able to use out there, and one that's going to make life a lot easier for drivers and vehicle owners here in the Cayman Islands. So who wants to explain to us how the processes work? Mr. Sims?
Okay, Donna, the first thing that anyone that's listening to us at the moment now would need to do is to come down to the Department of Vehicle and Driver's License to get your ESID, which is your e-services identification number. This particular number is linked with your driver's license, so obviously you'd have to have a driver's license in order to get this number.
Right.
Once you have that number, you can go to the website, which is www.eservices.gov.ky, and then you can walk you through the registration process. It's very simple. Obviously, you require an email in order to complete it as well, because there'll be information sent back to your email. This email will be stored by the system, and to give you future renewal notices of your vehicles and so on. Now, once you're registered, then you'll have immediate access to all your vehicle information, all your driver's license information, and then you can go on. And if you're somebody who has more than one vehicle, it'll display all your vehicles to you, so you can select the one that needs renewal, and you can go ahead and go through the renewal process with that. And you pay by credit card or debit card. It's Visa or Master. The only credit card will not be accepted is American Express. So once you have all of that, you take it through the renewal process. Once you have the option, then once you've done the renewal to select either delivery or you'll pick it up from us.
Okay.
That's the back end paperwork. But that's the physical coupon now, because you need that physical coupon to display on your vehicle,
right?
To show that your actual license. And if you select delivery, then we'll mail it to your post box, and you should get it within 2-3 days of paying for it. Or you can simply select pickup, and we will have then. Once you've done that selection, our staff, an alert will go to them automatically for them to check the system.
Okay.
They go in and see that their validation processes that needs to be completed. They validate the transaction, print the coupon for you, give it to a customer service representative who will have it there waiting for your arrival. So there will be no long lines to join to collect that document. You just come right in, go immediately to a customer service agent. He'll have it there waiting for you, hand delivered to you, sign for it, and you're on your way.
Okay. Let's assume that someone only has one email address and it's a work email address. Would you encourage people out there to have a second personal email address?
I would encourage a second personal, only simply because people do change jobs and so
right.
on, and things do happen. So I wouldn't rely solely on my work email. I would encourage certainly for somebody to have a personal email, that the system will recognize, because people do change. So
right. Well, let's just say that most people out there have access to computers, email addresses, and so forth. There are going to be those individuals who do not. Right. What happens with those folks?
Okay, we'll still have our normal operations that deal with those people who do not have computer access or choose to still come in to do their transactions. That's why we can't get rid of all our staff right now, because we have this new facility. That means
I was going to get to that next. Okay.
No, I can tell you at DVDL, when you think of the amount of transactions that we do, for example, we do over 92,000 transactions a year. So
right.
The renewal aspects are only about 34,000 transactions annually. So you still have at least a good 40-something thousand transactions that's been done. Otherwise, in terms of you have terminations, transfers, suspensions, new licenses being taken out.
Right.
So we'll still need our staff for those operations.
Okay.
It's just the renewal aspects that's going to be able to be done online.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'm sure that there are people out there listening who are saying, well, what about jobs? So I'm glad that we've addressed that right out of the gate there. Mr. McGaughlin, now Computer Services is, of course, at the heart of this whole system. How will your unit continue to be involved in this process? Because I know I think Mr. Solomon is actually expecting to take this on to the Immigration Department next in the future. So how will your unit, your team, continue to be involved?
Well, we'll continue to be involved basically where we are now, because we'll assist with project management if a project is outsourced and given to other companies, and if there's other little small systems or things that we can enhance it internally, again, save some bit of money for government, we'll try to do so, and then we'll look at building them on. Just want to add something on to your comment you made earlier about for those people who don't have computers at their home.
Right.
I'd also like to make note that the libraries do have computers in it, so if you're in a district, you can go to your libraries there and go use the computers there to be able to do the same kind of functionality. So those are options you can do that don't cost you any more money.
Okay. What about cost of using the service?
Well, right now, I mean, it's going to all be on the web. It's free. So the only thing you're actually paying for is when you actually engage in the same transactions that you would be engaging in a vehicle licensing. So in terms of actually renewing your driver's license, then naturally there's a fee. So you just pay for that. But everything else in terms of, the notices that would come to you electronically. So no persons who register up now who's putting in their email, they, as I think I mentioned offline, those persons will automatically get sort of email prompts that's going to say, whatever that time frame is, your license is going to expire in a month or so. So all those notices that you don't receive right now, you'll be receiving. They'll be free of charge. And hopefully that means that, you'll have less of a situation where a person finds themselves driving, not recognizing that their driver's license or that their car or vehicle actually needed to be inspected or renewed. So I think there's a tremendous amount of options. I'd like to stress as well in terms of computer services, just by way of background, I think it's important that there's an appreciation that computer services used to sort of be more in a centralized role for government and sort of setting a direction. It's over a period of time, particularly with the implementation of public management, finance law, etc., there's been a sort of decentralization of a lot of services. So you actually end up now with government where all of those different portfolios and departments, a lot of them having their own sort of IT people. And they're driving things forward in terms of the vision for that particular department, which is good, but it also, reduces the sort of synergy that I think you should have and the sort of general direction of where you want government to go. So the e-Government Advisory Board, it is my hopes that we can put together a document which I refer to as the Vision 2020 that will span across one or two administrations and hopefully bring